So, do you think she's going to have a musical career?
I hope not. I hope not, because having a career in the music world right now is it's a very different time. I don't know if you would wish it on anybody. I don't know. I mean, if we're being pragmatic, I wish she'd be a veterinarian or something. But I don't, she would really have to love it. You have to love it beyond all love to want to do it, because again, as you well know, a lot of musicians that I know are having to find day jobs, and they've studied to be musicians. They're very capable musicians. People I know that are in orchestras that are having to leave the orchestra because it's being shut down, trying to find jobs. So the fact that she loves the blues and she loves music, that's something you wish for everyone to have in their soul. What she chooses to do, though, she will choose to do. It's her life.
It is. So can you, why is this, the Light Princess, why has this process been so interminable, getting it onto the stage?
Huh. Well, I guess maybe writing a musical is probably, what is that thing that they say? The musical graveyard is a very busy place. And getting a musical, a new musical, onto the stage and working where the music and the story are integrated, I think it's, there are very few that do it well. So it's been arduous, there's no question about it. But we're getting to a place now where everybody knew that the last thing we wanted to be doing was during preview week rewriting the whole thing. We wanted to be able to get to rehearsals knowing what the story was, feeling like the songs and the story were fully integrated. And the musical is, I'd say, 70% music and song and 30% dialogue. So there's a lot of music and song there. And my writing partner, Samuel Adamson, who's book writer and co-lyricist, he and I have just really had to roll our sleeves up and do what we needed to do to get it to where it is.
So would you have been able to do this had you not had this classical background?
No, there's no way. I couldn't. Not this musical, but it's not just a pop musical. It doesn't have a band in the pit. It's not guitar, bass, drums in the pit. It's maybe an octet in the pit. More of a Night of Hunters type grouping of musicians. A little variation on that, but similar.
So have you had to, over this period of the sort of progression of it, have you had to rewrite stuff a lot of times? Or has that been the problem?
I think you have to welcome rewrites, and you welcome them for all kinds of reasons. Sometimes you realize once you get far along in the process that it can be a staging process. And once the visual side enters and they explain that they need the scene to take place in a different location than it had been written, then you have to sometimes make tweaks on where things are. And sometimes they'll say, no, but we need her off the stage 30 bars before you have her. So she's still singing, and we need her off the stage because we need her here to enter for the next scene. And you think, okay, so Sam and I go back and sharpen our pencils, and that's just part of what a collaboration is. But the creative team is an incredible creative team. Marianne Elliott is the director. She's one of the most incredible directors in the world right now of theater. And she's brought in her whole team. Ray Smith is a visual designer who was visual designer of Warhorse. So we have an incredible team with Nick Heitner, who runs the National Theatre, who's been our creative producer and mentor. And he has been a really tough taskmaster. I'm not going to lie to you. But he'll say to me, this has to be better than good. Nothing less. And I would say, yes, you're right.
Yeah. Well, at least you know if it's good enough for him, it's good enough.
That's correct. Because he has no problem postponing it as he did. And he was right. He was right. It is a different piece. And I was in the middle of the Night of Hunters tour when he did that. So I had all that experience in my blood and bones. And then Sam and I, after we had to take stock and realize where the piece was, where it could go, we embraced where it could go. And it could go to a much darker place, a much more dangerous place. And that's the amazing thing about working with somebody like Nick Heitner. He would say, oh, no, no, no. I want you to turn the darkness up. Don't turn it down. I'm not asking you to do Disney. I'm not asking you to make this for 5-year-olds. Au contraire, I want you to do a great piece that works for the National Theatre, that challenges people. And if you need to be 12 and over to come, then that's what it is. And I would say it has a piece that has tragedy, and it has, well, it has all kinds of things in it. But teenagers go through this. Teenagers, girls and boys go through this with their fathers, particularly.
So that must have been quite thrilling then, to be pushed to take it further.
It's become thrilling. At first, it was a little bit of a, it was shocking. Shocking. It's shocking when you're told you're not there. And maybe a part of you knows that you're not there, but also it depends on the producer that you have. Think about this a minute. If you have a producer that is just thinking about the commercial stake, then they're always thinking, what is the demographic? How do we play to the most people possible? It always isn't about the art first. But Nick Heitner is about art first, because he believes if the art is great and strong, the people will come. Maybe not all people, but the people that want to see this work. And so we're finally getting there. And no, it hasn't been easy, but that's okay.
Right. But I think you were saying before that the new record you're working on will be, you're moving back from the classical sort of dimension.
Well,
a bit.
I think I'm affected forever. I'm affected forever. I don't think wherever I move forward, I'm changed because of working with these classical greats, studying their structures for over 2 years, then applying that to the musical The Light Princess. Those 2 projects alone that have taken up so much of my life. How can I write anything now without being influenced by it? So no, the record won't be with an orchestra or with strings. The piano is there, very much central. And somebody said to me, so are you going to rock out now? And I don't really see myself needing to run to the other extreme to justify where I've been, to justify another work. You don't need to make a new work and say, okay, I've just been with an orchestra now, and with a quartet and with an octet, so now I need to go run to the other extreme. That's not how I'm seeing it. I think there's an organic progression that I'm discovering. And I guess the core of it is story. Writing songs that tell a story. That's really, and what the arrangements are, the songs will demand what that will be.
So I believe technically your singing voice is mezzo-soprano. So I was wondering if what classical musicians have inspired you particularly, and are any of those mezzo-sopranos?
Well, do you know, to be quite honest with you, I've always been more of a musical theater. As far as singing goes, I've listened to that music more than classically trained singers. And if I'm really being fair about this, I listen to instruments. So studying clarinet, oboe, what it does, viola, what it does, and how to use the voice in a way that instruments use their voices. I think it's dangerous sometimes to study another singer too much, because you can acquire their affectations. And therefore, when I listen to an instrument, because this is going to be different than a reed instrument, then I can listen to what it's doing and think, how can I apply that as a singer to this phrase?
So are there any classical instrumentalists you particularly inspired by?
Well, do you know, I have a really difficult reputation in the pop world where I don't name names. And I've been doing this for over 20 years, where I don't name names. I'll name composers. I'll talk about composers all day. But I don't name certain artists over others, usually, just because there's so many that I listen to, that to highlight one almost makes it sound like that that's the one I'm listening to, when it's one of many. I don't listen to just one person a lot, or one instrumentalist. I listen to many different, because we have a huge collection of records. We've been collecting for, well, 30 years. And we've been able to put it all on the computer, so we're able to access it at any time, everything that we've bought over the years. So we have a really good library, and we continue to buy to contribute to that library. So I'm able to access things all the time. And I can access it wherever I am. So that's really, being married to an engineer has been very useful in that way. So I can listen to anything at any time.
So your personal sort of musical cloud follows you.
Yes. Yeah, and it helps. It's an incredible reference for me. But composers, Debussy, Ravel, Prokofiev, watching Romeo and Juliet, I've always said to people who really feel as if, I don't know if I can listen to classical music, I'd say, well, go see a ballet. And if you don't want to go, watch it. Get the DVD, watch it, and listen and watch it together. Stravinsky, Rite of Spring. If you need visuals, maybe that's a good way in for people to watch the marriage of dance and music together. If they need sometimes people do need a visual.
So if you like ballet and you're working in musical theatre, what about opera? I mean, that must appeal to you to some extent.
No, it's not my thing. And I don't know if it's because everything is sung, mostly. I haven't given it a chance, though, if I'm fair about it. I've never been to one.
Really?
Really. I've never been to one. So it just hasn't been something that I've been exposed to. And maybe that's something I need to do in the next couple years, is take myself and find somebody who wants to go, maybe somebody who understands it, and go with somebody who can explain it so that I can enjoy it more. I think I haven't gone because of ignorance on my part.
Getting Nick Heitner to take you.
Yeah.